Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Andrea Giraldo. Welcome to Meetings of the Minds, brought to you by the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in partnership with BronxNet. This show was created in direct response to the COVID-19 pandemic as a way to highlight the work of our members and partners, as well as to understand the resources that they have to help our community in those difficult times. Our first guest today is the founder of Wellness and Wellbeing, From Chaos to Calm. She joins us to share her career's journey as a lifelong educator and to highlight the services that she offers through her company. So let's give a warm welcome to Denise Olivera Schira. Very welcome, Denise. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. So welcome to the program. And of course, thank you for joining us. Can you tell our audience a little about your background, where you're from, how long you've been in the educational field?
Yes, I am. Well, first of all, thank you. I'm so excited to be a part of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and be invited to participate today. And I am a Bronxite, lifelong Bronxite, born and raised here, still live here, and have worked here for a very big portion of my life. But my family is from Puerto Rico, and I was born and raised and grew up in the Soundview area of the Bronx. My family's from the Soundview houses, the Soundview projects. And after coming out of a full scholarship at an Ivy League institution, I ended up starting my family earlier than I had planned. And I stayed at home for 7 years with my children, raising them, and eventually needed to start working and found myself substituting at a school. So I was really hoping to be a medicine and eventually switched that to working with children rather than medical in education. And so I started substitute teaching in the Bronx. And I worked my way up for over 30 years. I worked my way up through teaching in a school, in a classroom, into leading a school and doing teacher training, and eventually leading all of the various models that we've had in New York City, the districts and the regions and the networks, and ultimately the boroughs, and became assistant superintendent and education administrator and director centrally. And I worked with over 1,000 schools in New York, in over 30 districts.
I guess that would be just about all the schools, almost.
we have almost 2,000, so not quite. But I did work in all the boroughs and over 30 different districts with thousands of students and staff and families. And during the pandemic, I was ready. My retirement age had come up, and I was thinking about moving on. But during the pandemic, it became very clear that the work I do around wellness and social emotional learning was needed. And so I remained and continued to do that training. And then once I retired just last summer, I again was asked by many to please continue the work around impact in social emotional work and wellness. So I created my own company for that reason.
Very good, very good. So how crucial was education for that journey to land you where you are today?
It's everything, and that's one of the reasons I say in so many of my writings, education saves lives, because education is what gave me opportunity and access and networking. It's what gave me exposure and, of course, content and knowledge. But education allowed me to give other students the opportunity to help them succeed and help their families navigate a lot of the challenges around our society, and so it's just been a big part of my life.
And that's very important. So I'd like to touch a little bit on how that education has helped you live your life to optimize that saying, education saves lives, right?
Right. Well, I was
expand, please.
Yeah, I was the first person in my family, my whole immediate circle, to go to college, four-year college, and graduate. You know, a four-year university. I was lucky to receive a full scholarship and went to Cornell University, and then really it opened up doors for me, and it helped me understand how important it is to not only have that access and that experience, but to provide it to others. So I really spent my 30-year career really helping others, not only students and families, but even other educators. Like I co-founded the New York State Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents to help lift other administrators of color, administrators of Latino background, to also utilize the access and the opportunities and provide those experiences for the students they served
Very
as well.
important. So fast forward, you started your company, Denise Schira LLC. What services do you offer, and what can you tell us about your company's goals, mission?
Absolutely. So a lot of the work I did was instructional for the first 14 or so years. In the last 16,
Back
17
in your
years.
career.
Right, while I was in teaching
Yes.
and in school administration and so on. And then the last 16 years, I really, I pivoted to the social emotional realm and support. And so wellness and well-being, from chaos to calm. I work with, and my goal is to transform lives. My goal is to transform lives through social, emotional, and physical wellness education, as well as just being able to do some crisis intervention training and help individuals as well as communities and different institutions to be able to utilize and benefit from a safe, healthy, and restorative setting that promotes positive outcomes and overall well-being. And a big part of that work that I do is to help people not only go from chaos to calm, but to help people really be aware and in touch with themselves and their competencies in the social emotional realm, and just be well overall.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit about any new programs and initiatives that you have currently or planned out?
Yes, with one of the things that I've been doing is I still work consulting in schools, so I'm always available to do any one of the different programs that I am supporting with the trainings and the workshops that are impactful for schools and communities and institutions. So I have been working in schools as a consultant. I've also been hired to train and work with and offer workshops to administrators that are both retired as well as in service throughout the city. And I still do speaking engagements around the country and the state to share those workshops, those impactful workshops and information, so that I can give back. And then 3 years ago, I actually was fortunate and I experienced breast cancer. And a big part of the wellness work really deepened for me personally. And I was able to apply for a full scholarship and become certified in teaching somatic movement and dance exercise for recovery. So I now am not only a breast cancer survivor after a double mastectomy and 4 surgeries, but I am a provider, recovery provider, and I offer those wellness classes, and many times I'm doing that as a volunteer, but I work with aged populations, limited mobility populations, as well as underserved communities, and I was offered a full scholarship so that I can continue to give back and work in
That's
underserved
beautiful.
communities. So
They're
it's
busy
been a
women
big,
for sure.
big part of that work.
And so busy that it's interesting that she is also an author, not only of one, but we have 2 books by Denise. So please explain to us what motivated you, what is behind these books? Because it's amazing, with all that you do, and you still find time to write books.
Thank you. Well, yes, and I actually am grateful to Dr. Leanne Salazar Montoya, who is the main author of the book that put the project together. It's
Which
Latina
one?
Radiance, and she's actually, we have 3 books. One is coming out next month. So it's a trilogy project around Latina Radiance or Latinx Radiance. So Latina Radiance, Love Letters to the Soul, and all of these are available on Amazon and other sources for books, Barnes & Noble and so on. But Latina Radiance, Love Letters to the Soul is a book around coming from humble beginnings. It's educators at a high level like myself from across the country, and each of us has a chapter that we contributed thanks to Dr. Salazar Montoya. And we basically shared our personal stories as well as our professional journeys and wrote a letter to ourselves, our younger self, to let us know that not to give up, that we were
Yeah.
going to have resilience and we were going to be radiant and we were going to make it.
That's
And
so
the
beautiful.
second book is Leadership Recipes for Success, Latinx Radiance, Leadership Recipes for Success. And basically, it's our, in a recipe format, our advisement or guidance or recipe, if you will, for how to be successful in both life and professional career. But we also included recipes from our own cocina, right? So I have an asopao de andule recipe in there, in addition to my recipe
I
for
love it.
how I was able to
Yeah,
get to where
yeah.
I was able to get
Yeah.
to, and really just give back to the community. So they're meant
Awesome.
for inspiration.
So, and it's this will serve as a great segue, what you just mentioned, just stories on success into your younger self, right? Those letters. So my next question would be, what advice do you have for younger Latinos, Latinas that are looking to break into a career similar to yours? If you could just, briefly share some words of wisdom here before we part.
Right. Well, one of the most important things is just never giving up, right? Like, I was a stay-at-home mom. I had 2 young children. There were many obstacles in the way. I went down a different career path than I planned. But really being resilient and knowing that every failure or lack of success in that effort is just a lesson to be learned to continue to move forward and be resilient.
Yeah.
One of the recipes that's main for me is integrity, right? So never compromising your integrity. Throughout my journey, there were many moments that I was tested in compromising my integrity, and I do not compromise my integrity. That is my number one recipe ingredient.
Yeah,
And,
that would be beautiful if people actually applied
exactly.
it.
and that's
Yeah.
really, for me, the bottom line is making sure that you don't give up on your dreams and you don't feel that anything should be able to stop you, no matter what. You go over, under, around, however you have to do to get there. But really not
So don't
compromising
lose
your integrity,
focus,
right? Not stepping on
basically.
others
Yeah.
while you're climbing the
Yes.
ladder, helping others, and always giving back. Never forgetting where you come from and giving back to your community, giving back to those who don't have that access and
Beautiful.
opportunity.
I love that. And so where can people find you on social? Please
Yes.
do share. I'm sure many would like to find the books, you.
Thank you.
And
Well, after
follow you.
3 decades in the DOE and retiring last summer, it's a very new company. So I do not have a website, but
Okay.
I do have LinkedIn, Denise Olivera Schira, and I also am reachable via email on Gmail. So my name again, Denise Schira at gmail.com, and I can be found also on Instagram and X, which formerly Twitter,
Formerly
Denise Schira as well. And I would love to work with any community that, whether it's an individual, a small community, or large institution or corporation, that is interested in building wellness, building their teams, building community, and
Beautiful.
fostering
Beautiful.
positivity.
Now, do you mind sharing your email again or your
Yes, it's
Twitter?
Denise Schira at gmail.com, and it's DenisesChira at gmail.com. And at Denise Schira for Instagram and Twitter/X.
Beautiful.
And Denise Olivera Schira, Olivera, for the LinkedIn information, which has almost all of my information
the
listed there.
Books can be found on Amazon as well. If
Yes.
any of you are interested, you can definitely find more about the books on Amazon. So thank you so much, Denise.
Thank
It was
you.
lovely to meet you and have
It's a
you on our
pleasure.
show and learn more of what you do. So again, you can find Denise Olivera Schira on LinkedIn or her email, deniseschira@gmail.com. And yeah, we look forward to following you on Amazon as well to see more
Yes.
about the book. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Meetings of the Minds here on Brockstead. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Our second guest today is the Principal Advisor for Summit Trail Advisors, and he is with us to highlight work that he does with his organization to maintain multi-generational wealth and much more. So please give a warm welcome to Mr. Roberto Homar. Bienvenido.
Gracias.
So welcome so much to our show. Thank you for coming in. Can you tell our audience a little about your background and how you became a financial advisor?
Sure thing. I'm born and raised in Puerto Rico, San Juan, Puerto Rico. I lived there till the age of 18, and I was raised in a family of advisors. I had my uncles who had built great businesses in the wealth management side. My parents, after
In Puerto Rico.
In Puerto Rico.
Got it.
And after a successful exit from the laundry business, my parents moved on to real estate and being advisors, developers, etc. in that area.
Still in Puerto Rico.
Still in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
All of this is happening in Puerto Rico, and I went to school in New Orleans, Louisiana, at Loyola University. I came back to Puerto Rico, and I started my career at Banco Popular, which is the biggest bank in Puerto Rico.
For sure.
And a few years later, I wanted to find other opportunities. New York, Wall Street, that always sort of sounded exciting to me. So I found a way. I wiggled myself into Wall Street, and I started at UBS at the time. And then, I started to learn the industry. Very different. We would work with international clients. So clients not physically, not residents of the U.S., building their investment portfolios. These were clients in Colombia, Mexico, and all the way.
High net worth, I assume.
Absolutely.
With UBS, yeah.
Absolutely. These were all high net worth clients spanning from Latin America all the way to Asia, Taiwan. They weren't my clients, but I would help the advisors who had these clients build out these investment portfolios. And with time, I found a way to become an investment consultant, first at BNP Paribas, a global French bank. And then most recently, my team and I joined a family office, registered independent advisor called Summit Trail Advisors, where we operate our business
So no
today.
longer with UBS.
Correct.
Oh, interesting.
Correct.
Interesting. So explain to us, if you could break it down for
Sure.
the audience, please. What does the role of a certified investment management individual do?
Sure.
What is the daily, weekly responsibility? What does that look like?
Sure. So
Because-
there's
I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but as you said, New York sounds very exciting in the financial world. So only, fair that everyone
Absolutely.
gets to understand a little bit more in detail.
Sure, and it is very exciting, right? There's many things in what we do, right? We work with high net worth families, like you pointed out, right? Most of these families have had a business at some point, exited their business, and they came into some money. Now you have all this money, what do you do with it, right? So, I would say a lot of our business starts doing a lot of education, right? What does it mean to have access to this amount of capital? How do we want to invest it? What are your objectives? How do you feel about risk? How do you feel about seeing your money be moving up and down in the market? So that educational aspect is extremely important. And it doesn't matter if we're doing it with a client who's new to investing or has been in the markets for many years. But education is key. What do? We find opportunities to invest that capital, right? And we can find opportunities that are more conservative. We can find opportunities that are more aggressive. We can find opportunities that are in the public markets, like the S&P 500 stocks, or we can find opportunities that are in private markets. These are companies that are privately held and not available in the public markets. And we start to develop a strategy for our clients that we believe are best positioning our clients for success. Something that's super important is that as a registered independent advisor, which is how Summit Trail operates, we operate under the fiduciary standard.
Yeah.
Right? We always have to
Which is very important also when looking for a
Absolutely.
company like yours.
Absolutely.
And I think if you could just explain that term in
Sure.
3 words so everyone can be on
words.
the same page here.
3 words, don't count, but it's always operating with the client's best interests
Yes.
in mind. I think that's
Very
about
good.
5 words.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Sure. So as fiduciaries, we really need to make sure that whatever we're advising the client on is best for them. And what does that mean, right? We're not focused on how do we make the most money, right? We need to make sure that this is best for the client from a risk perspective, a tax perspective, and a objective perspective, right? What do they want? Do they want income? Do they want to grow their capital, right? Sometimes we think of the individual, but sometimes this individual is okay for now. They're set for the foreseeable future, and they start to invest for the generations to come, right? We build strategies that are going to make sure the next generation and the next generation will have access to education, will have access to healthcare. We have structures where the beneficiaries of them aren't even born yet. But we want to make sure that this capital that the families have worked so hard for is really leveraged for the benefit of the generations to come, of building
the
a really
future.
strong legacy.
Very good, very good. Now, you specifically with Summit Trail, how long have you been with them?
Sure.
What does the future look like?
That's a great question. So my team and I, and I'm nothing without my team. I have a really special team that I operate with. And I've been with some members of this team for over 10 years and with other members for about 5-6 years. And we're a very close-knit team. So our team started to join Summit Trail about 6 months ago. After Summit Trail approached us, we were in a moment of change during with our previous employer, and Summit Trail approached us and offered us this platform, this business to operate out of. And there's so many places you can go do our business, right? There's so many investment management companies, but we were really aligned in terms of values, right? Passion, integrity. Amongst those values, we were very much aligned, and we thought this is a place where we can operate our business and do what's best for our clients. But in terms of what's next, Andrea, I really feel this is my forever company. This is a privately owned company with a path to partnership. And when you become partner, this is now your enterprise.
Yeah.
This is now part of you. And the ability to stay, the ability to grow it is something that myself as well as my team really find special.
Excellent. That's beautiful. So, and this is a question I always ask is, what if someone out there, like, we have young people that watch
Sure.
the show and all of that, were interested in following your footsteps. So what does a young person, let's say a senior in high school, ready to go to college, what should be the next steps for achieving a career in your industry?
I love that question. I mean,
Yeah.
I think at the core we need to educate ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So be it if you're in school, if you're a senior in high school and college, finding the right tools to learn the basics about finance, right? Be it accounting, be it investing. It's good to get that at the core. But I think I'm really in the business of relationships, right? I have a team that helps me be the best version of myself every day and make sure that the advice we give our clients is excellent.
Yeah.
But my job is to communicate, right? To build trust. And building trust is complicated, right? It takes time. So my message to people who want to join this industry is practice your communication, practice your active listening. In today's world, I feel like we might be losing some of these skills. So let's really make sure we have the ability to distill complex topics in the most simple and easy to understand ways, and then really listen, right? I mean, we have a lot of ideas, right? I could speak to you for days about our ideas, but it's only relevant to what our clients need, right?
Like a stock tip, maybe?
Oh, yeah. But it's really, what does the client need, right?
Yes,
so
yes, yes.
what are they telling me, right? What are they worried about? What do they want to achieve? And only by asking questions, and I give credit to my mom, she did a master's in anthropology, and she will ask you so many questions, but she'll really get to know you.
Yeah.
And I feel like I learned a little bit of that as I build these relationships and ultimately look to build
So you
trust.
can't think of math alone. You have to have your emotional skills, social skills component
Absolutely.
and marry them.
Absolutely, and there's different avenues, right?
Uh-huh.
My task is really focused on being in front of our clients, communicating the messages that, again, the team has put together. There are roles within this team that are very much specific to the math, to the analysis, to the research. And these individuals, these team members are as important, if not more important, right? They need to find those opportunities to invest in, but then we partner with them to get those ideas to our clients.
Wonderful.
So there's something for everybody,
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, you need to communicate. You know,
Yeah,
you need to
for sure.
communicate these ideas.
I could imagine that. So lastly, where can people find you? Please
Sure.
share your website, share your social channels or your email.
Absolutely.
Please, go ahead.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I'm on LinkedIn. I like
Okay.
to think I'm pretty active. We post regularly. We post all sorts of ideas, right? We have 30 partners of the firm, advisors. They'll do activities, events like this one, and we're sharing with the world a lot of our thinking. So that's a great way to start. Roberto Homar. Homar is with an H,
Yes.
H-O-M-A-R. And that'll be on LinkedIn. And we also have a website. It's called, it's summittrail.com. It's getting rebranded, so if you check it out now, I urge you to check it out in a few months because I think it's going to be very exciting. And then lastly, email. It's roberto.omar@Summit
With
Trail.
an H.
With
Don't
an
forget.
H, correct.
H-O-M-A-R.
R. Correct.
Yeah.
At summittrail.com.
.com.
I'm
Very
always
good.
happy to chat and share my
Very good.
thoughts.
Well, this has been quite an educational visit. Thank you so
Sure.
much. We learned a lot. So again, you can visit to find out more about Roberto and what his team does. Please visit him on the website summittrail.com or his email roberto.omar, H-O-M-A-R, @summittrail.com. Thank you so much. Thank you, Roberto, for
Thank you.
joining us. It was very educational, but unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. I want to thank our guests, Denise Schira and Roberto Homar, for joining us, and our viewers for tuning in and checking us out. Keep following BronxNet TV for continued coverage. If you're not a member of the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, you can visit us at hispanicchamber.nyc. Once again, that's hispanicchamber.nyc. You can also engage with us on LinkedIn at New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, all spelled out. And I'll see you next time for another episode of Meetings of the Minds in partnership with BronxNet. See you next time. Ciao, ciao.